Welcome to what might sound like the most ridiculous module, where I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about private jets. You know, that essential life skill. No, I have not actually flown in a private jet before, but I have spent an embarrassing amount of time researching them, mostly because I realized that understanding how the wealthy travel gives you plenty of insight into how they think about time, money, and priorities. Especially after watching the internet lose its collective mind over Taylor Swift's private jet usage. Suddenly everyone's an expert on aviation emissions and flight patterns, but most people still don't understand how this industry actually works. Private aviation is a world that will seem completely foreign to you until you understand the basic mechanics. Then suddenly a lot of wealthy behavior starts making sense. Why someone would drop 50 grand on a chartered flight rather than 5 grand on first class, or why my ex-girlfriend's mom once found herself sitting next to Prince Harry on a commercial flight. Today we're diving into a world that most of us might never experience, but understand this and you'll understand the world of those that you want to be connected with.
Let's start with a fun fact that surprised me. The British royal family, despite their wealth and status, can't actually just hop on a private jet whenever they feel like it. They're required to use official government aircraft or, when those aren't available, commercial flights. They're not allowed to just use private jets for personal trips. That's why my ex-girlfriend's mother actually ended up seated next to Prince Harry on a British Airways flight to South Africa, because Prince Harry's ex-girlfriend was also South African. Probably the only thing I'll share in common with Prince Harry. He does seem to have a thing for Africa, doesn't he? Anyway, here's a fascinating reality. There are about 22,000 private jets worldwide, but the vast majority are used for business, not leisure. About 70% of private flights are for business purposes, and the average flight time is just about 1.5 hours. This isn't about champagne and caviar at 40,000 feet. It's about getting from point A to B efficiently. Here's one of my favorite industry quirks: empty leg flights. So when someone charters a jet from London to Dubai, that plane has to return to London somehow. Rather than fly back empty, operators often sell these return flights at massive discounts, sometimes up to 75% off. It's like luxury travel arbitrage. And since we're already on a roll, here's another fun fact. Warren Buffett, famous for his frugality, initially called private jets an indefensible indulgence. Then he bought one and named it the Indefensible. He later upgraded to a larger jet and then renamed it the Indefensible 2. I guess sometimes even billionaires have a sense of humor about their hypocrisy. The private aviation industry has exploded recently. Private jet flights increased by over 20% in 2021 alone, driven partly by wealthy people avoiding commercial aviation during that scam they call a pandemic, but also by more businesses realizing that the time economics just makes sense for high-level executives. Let's dispel the first myth here. For most users, this isn't about luxury, it's about mathematics. When someone's time is worth over $1,000 an hour, spending 3 hours at Heathrow instead of 20 minutes at a private terminal becomes nothing more than an expensive inefficiency. Consider a very real scenario. Say a CEO needs to attend board meetings in London at 9 a.m, Frankfurt at 2 p.m, and Milan at 6 p.m. Commercially, this is impossible, but privately, it's just Tuesday. The jet becomes a flying office that makes the schedule work, not a luxury expense. And then there's the issue of privacy. Privacy matters a lot more than you'd think. Merger discussions, celebrity relationships, political negotiations. Imagine trying to conduct sensitive business surrounded by passengers with smartphones. Private aviation isn't just about comfort, it's about confidential flying meeting rooms. And for ultra-wealthy families, private jets solve complex logistics. When your children attend school in different countries or you have homes on multiple continents, commercial aviation becomes genuinely impractical. The jet isn't a luxury anymore, it's just simply family infrastructure. The wealthy also use private aviation for crisis response, medical emergencies, family situations, sudden business opportunities. When commercial flights can't solve the problem, the economics of private aviation suddenly make perfect sense. It's insurance for emergencies as much as it is a means of transportation. Here's another big misconception. Most people don't own private jets. About 80% of private flights are charters, not ownership. Owning a jet is like owning a yacht, expensive to buy and astronomical to maintain, and used infrequently by most owners. Therefore, most people charter rather than buy. Charter works like a luxury car rental. You contact a broker, specify your route and timing, they quote you a price and arrange everything. The difference is that your rental car costs $5,000 an hour and comes with pilots, fuel insurance and handling fees included. And then there's fractional ownership. This is like a hotel timeshare for jets. You buy a share, let's say 1/8 of an aircraft, and you get access to that category of jet for a certain number of hours annually. NetJets pioneered this model, and it's how many wealthy people access private aviation without full ownership costs. And then there's jet cards. Jet cards are prepaid flight hours. You deposit $100K to $500K and draw down against it. It's like having aviation credit that guarantees availability and fixed hourly rates. It's popular with people who fly private occasionally, but predictably. There's also empty legs, as I mentioned earlier, the industry's best kept secret. If any of us are ever going to fly private, this would be it. Again, when someone charters London to Nice, the plane must return somehow. So rather than fly empty, the operators solve the positioning. So rather than fly empty, operators sell these positioning flights at 50 to 75% discounts. The catch is you work around their schedule, not yours. And then there's booking through brokers versus direct booking. You can book through brokers who comparison shop multiple operators, or directly with companies like NetJets or FlexJet. Brokers often find better prices and direct companies offer more consistency. This is the equivalent of using a travel agent versus booking directly with hotels. Light jets are the entry level, if you can call anything costing $2,000 per hour entry level. These handle 4 to 6 passengers for trips up to 3 hours. Think the Citation Mustang or Embraer Phenom. Perfect for London to Edinburgh trips or quick European hops. Mid-sized jets handle transcontinental flights comfortably. Hawker 800 Citation X's. These can do London to Moscow or New York to Los Angeles non-stop with 8 to 9 passengers. This is where you start getting actual luxury amenities rather than just transportation efficiency. Heavy jets are where things get serious. Gulfstream G650s, Bombardier Globals. These can handle 12 to 16 passengers on intercontinental routes. We're talking flying bedrooms, full galleys and meeting spaces. This is what you picture when you think private jet lifestyle. And then there's ultra long-range jets like the Gulfstream G700 that can fly London to Singapore non-stop. These aren't just transportation, they're flying offices and homes. Some have bedrooms, showers, full conference facilities. The ultimate time machine for global business. And how could we forget helicopters? Often more practical for short distances. Why sit in London traffic for 2 hours when you can helicopter to the airport in 15 minutes? Many wealthy people use helicopters for city-to-airport transport, then jets for the longer distances. Here are the top private jet brands you should know about. Gulfstream is the Rolls-Royce of private jets, prestigious, reliable, holds value. Bombardier focus on innovation and comfort. Embraer offers efficiency and cost-effectiveness. Citation covers the full range from basic to luxurious. The brand choice signals different priorities and budgets. Though let's be real, even for rich people, if they're booking a private jet, they will most likely just take whatever they get. Let's talk about how much this actually costs, because the numbers are more complex than you'd think. Light jets start about $2,000 to $3,000 per hour. Mid-size runs about 3 to 5K. Heavy jets are 5 to 8K. Ultra long range can hit from 10 to 15K per hour. But that's just the beginning. The hourly rate is like a hotel room price. It's not the total cost. Add positioning fees if the jet isn't already at your departure airport, meaning that if the jet is somewhere else, you have to pay for the jet to fly to where you are. Overnight fees if the crew has to stay somewhere. International handling fees, customs charges, catering, ground transportation. These extras can double your quoted price. To imagine it, here's a more practical example. London to Dubai on a mid-size jet. Base cost $25k for 5 hours. But add $3k positioning from where the jet actually is, $2k in Middle East handling fees, $1.5k overnight costs for the crew, $800 catering, $500 ground transport. Your 25k flight just became 32.8k. And what about actually owning a private jet? Full ownership is eye-watering. A mid-sized jet costs about 3 to 5 million to buy, then about 800k to 1.2 million annually in maintenance, insurance, hangar fees and crew salaries, whether you fly it or not. Most owners need 100 plus flight hours annually to even begin to justify ownership over charter. There's also the question of why not just fly first class? When does flying private make financial sense? Let's see. London to New York first class, about 3k per person. Private jet, 35k total. If you're traveling with more than 8 people, or your time savings are worth more than that premium, the economics can work. It's just that for most people, most of the time it doesn't. International flights add complexity. Landing permits, customs handling, international insurance, foreign crew permits. Every country has different requirements and fees. A simple European trip can become a bureaucratic nightmare requiring specialized handling companies. Remember that most private jet flights are domestic. So what if you actually wanted to book a private jet, or perhaps what if you had to book one for someone else? Booking is surprisingly straightforward. Just call or email your broker with departure/arrival cities, dates, passenger count, and any special requirements. They'll quote you within hours. You'll want to book 24 to 48 hours in advance for the best availability, though same-day bookings are possible at premium prices. You'll then depart from what's called a FBO, a fixed-based operator, which is essentially a private terminal. Drive directly to the plane, no check-in times, minimal security screening, from car to wheels up in about 15 to 20 minutes, just like in the movies. It's the time savings that wealthy people are actually paying for here. Now, international travel is where private aviation really shines. Customs and immigration often come to you. You land at Nice, French officials board your plane for passport checks while you're still seated. No queues, no luggage, carousels, no waiting. You can be in your Monaco hotel 30 minutes after landing. The actual flight experience varies wildly. Light jets are basically flying cars, functional but not luxurious. Heavy jets can have bedrooms, kitchens, and meeting areas. But most flights are working flights, not party flights. It's more of a flying office, not a flying nightclub. And as for ground transportation to your actual destination, this is typically arranged by the operator. Car service, helicopter transfers, even your connections are coordinated. All this is to make sure you seamlessly move from jet to final destination. For people who fly private, the goal is door-to-door efficiency, not just airport-to-airport transport. And as always, movies do get it wrong in some ways. There's usually no champagne service on most flights. It's often business meetings or people sleeping. Also, flight attendants aren't always included. Many flights are just pilots, and those elaborate interiors, you'll only find those on the most expensive, largest jets used by the ultra-wealthy. So when might you actually discuss private aviation besides trying to impress people and pretend that you've been on a private plane before? For most of us, it's mostly likely going to come up in some form of business context where travel efficiency matters, social situations with entrepreneurs or executives, investment discussions about aviation companies. Understanding this industry helps you to engage intelligently without seeming like a wannabe. So if this topic ever comes up, approach it matter-of-factly. If you are going to ask any questions at all, ask something like, do you usually charter or work with one of the fractional companies? This shows you at least understand the industry structure. Avoid gushing about luxury or asking for rides. Treat it like discussing any other business tool. It's practical, not aspirational. Other honest comments you could provide are things like, you must save a lot of time. These show that you understand it's about efficiency, not lifestyle. Avoid questions like, what's it like? Or, is it amazing? These sound like you're fishing for details to brag about to your friends later. Most people who fly private regularly are matter of fact about it. They discuss it the way businessmen talk about business class on commercial flights. It's merely a tool, not an experience. Match their energy. If they're casual about it, be casual. If they seem uncomfortable discussing it, then change topics. Here is what absolutely not to ask if you don't want to seem like a complete outsider who does not belong in this world. Never ask about costs directly. Never hint about joining them on flights. And never act overly impressed or interested. And definitely don't mention tracking apps or carbon footprints unless they bring it up first. Remember, for regular users, this is just mundane business logistics, not some exciting lifestyle content. Now, let's be completely honest, private aviation is a tool for people whose time is worth so much that it justifies the enormous costs involved. It's not about luxury, it's about buying back time and flexibility that commercial aviation just can't provide. The business case is simple. When closing a deal, attending multiple meetings, or managing time-sensitive opportunities is worth more than the 20 to 50k flight cost, the economics work. For everyone else, it merely just is a luxurious expense. Understanding this about private aviation helps you to understand how the ultra-wealthy think about time, money, and efficiency. They're not necessarily showing off, they're often just solving logistical problems that commercial aviation can't address. So, what's the practical takeaway here? Your practical takeaway isn't learning to book private jets, obviously. It's understanding that wealth often comes with complex logistical challenges that require expensive solutions. This knowledge helps you to better understand the people you might work with or for. If you are genuinely interested in private aviation, follow industry publications like Business Jet Traveler or Aviation Week, apps like Flight Radar 24 that you track aircraft movements. Just don't become that person obsessing over celebrity flight patterns. An Instagram account that might be interesting to follow is @MonicaInAJet, a private jet broker based in Miami. So remember, we've just spent 20 minutes discussing something that most of us might never actually directly use. But understanding how different industries work, even once far outside our experience, helps us better navigate conversations and relationships with people who do use these services. I promise you that the next module will probably be something a bit closer to home, but until then, keep your feet on the ground, but your knowledge in the air.